All right, ladies and gentlemen, the next session we have is No Package is an Island. We have Elizabeth. She's a PhD student in computer science at the University of Kansas. Her research focuses on identifying and mitigating security issues, in open source package ecosystems. In particular, she works on techniques to identify malicious and unreliable software packages and containing attacks stemming from malicious code. Please give Elizabeth a warm OpenSSF welcome. Here's your Clickinator.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here and present some of my research. So this is No Package is an Island, looking at context when assessing package security. With the recent explosion in open source software, it's important to note that we have this ongoing need for automated package security. Manual analysis is simply infeasible for the scale and the use of open source in modern software supply chains. Luckily, there's been a thriving open source software security research community that has emerged to tackle this issue. And what we're finding is that increasingly, these attacks in open source and software supply chain compromise are becoming more and more frequent, yet preventable. A recent report from Sonatype found an increase of 742% with software supply chain attacks, yet 96% of these attacks are preventable. And I want to highlight that there's been a lot of awesome efforts from the research community and from the open source community to tackle some of these issues, like the OpenSSF scorecards framework. There's excellent tooling out there to calculate, aggregate, and publicize key security metrics on a per package basis. Things like looking at code vulnerabilities, looking at maintenance practices, testing how developers actually work on these code projects, as well as some analysis of the source code itself. And as a researcher, what I'm always asking myself is, so how can we build upon existing work? How can we do things even better? And one of the things that we've noticed in my research lab is that a lot of these existing tools and research tend to assess packet properties only in isolation. Yet there are many important properties of packages that require the context of other packages to be able to discern. And so some two key examples which we've found are package cloning and typo-squatting attacks. So I want to first talk about the package cloning phenomenon, which was a research paper that came out of our lab. And what we found that was within the NPM ecosystem, there was a phenomenon of developers duplicating the code of another package, sometimes with some modifications to the code. And this is an important comparative property because it's impossible to detect if one package's code is cloning another without using some comparative analysis between the two packages. And so what we found is that this does indeed pose potential security issues. You can have an original package that might have some kind of security flaw. Somebody clones this package, the security issues get copied over, and then even if the original package is patched at a later date, that clone package will still often remain out of date, vulnerable, insecure. And what we observed was that in practice, these package clones do exhibit worsened security hygiene. 47% of the package clones are never updated, 34% of the package clones contain known vulnerabilities, and 3% of package clones contain vulnerabilities which were undiscoverable by the NPM auditing procedure. In response to this package clone phenomenon, we developed some tooling to be able to detect package clones. And what we found with our tooling is that in just about 73 seconds, in median time, we can test a package against the entire NPM ecosystem to search for clones. And we can do this process with about 94% precision and 95% recall. The second case study that I want to highlight is package typo squatting, which is packages that leverage name similarity in order to confuse users to installing them, perhaps on accident. And this is another case where comparative analysis is necessary because it's impossible to detect if one package is typo squatting another without this comparative analysis and the context of the ecosystem. So one example of this that I want to highlight, which we identified, was the very common NPM package Lodash. Somebody uploaded a package load.sh, that just has a transposition of 2 characters in the name Lodash, and we observed developers in practice accidentally installing load.sh because they made this typo. And once again, typo squatting does pose a threat to the ecosystem security. We found that there's over 1,000 reported incidents of typo squatting in the past 3 years alone, and packages that commit this typo squatting behavior are 3.8 times as likely to be malicious or vulnerable. As part of our ongoing research to improve the detection capabilities of typo squatting, we've identified more than 360,000 packages across various ecosystems that are potential instances of name typo squatting. We've developed some tooling that in about 5.5 seconds median time can test a package against the entire NPM ecosystem in looking for packages that it might be typo squatting. And the best models of name confusion, which we developed, achieve greater than about 88% precision and recall. So with what we found in this research, we see this as a call to arms, that evaluating a package requires comparing it with other packages. Existing frameworks can adopt tooling to employ these kinds of comparative analyses, and that would be a great way to improve the state of the art. Another thing that we think would be really awesome is that it would help if package repositories were able to responsibly release malicious package data sets, as these would be a valuable tool in leveraging comparative analysis between known malicious packages and known benign packages. So thank you. I would love to discuss my research more with you all. If there's time for questions, I'd be happy to take some now. Otherwise, my email's right there. Would love to network. And some of our tooling is available there as well. Thank you so much. Yeah, awesome. We can take a question or two. So anybody, please go for it. Yes.
I love all of the information you have found. Yes, thank you. I love and appreciate all of the information you have found. My next question would be, have you shared this with the NPM ecosystem? And if so, what was their response?
Yes, so we did end up sharing particularly some information with respect to the typo squatting with the NPM ecosystem. And it seems that they're a bit cautious about taking immediate action, except on kind of like a per package basis. And so we're still working with the team to see if we can do some further work in that area. Great question, really appreciate that. Ooh, I have another question over there.
Hi.
Hello.
In the NPM, when you try to like compare these packages between, you find like in the small details, those differences between mirrors, between wrappers, between architectures. So how do you like compare these, you know, things that could be different actually between two valid packages?
Yeah, that's a great question. So most of our tooling that leverages comparative analysis does so on kind of a per repository basis. So essentially, if we're doing like typo squatting work, we can compare the names of NPM packages to the names of other NPM packages. And with respect to like the clone work, because the ways in which, you know, actually code is structured, files are structured, file trees are structured, it's going to mostly depend on kind of like how the repository itself is set up, and it would just require a little bit of modification of the tooling in order to adapt it to a certain ecosystem. But the prototype that we developed was for the NPM ecosystem on the cloning work. Those are great questions. Thank you. Do we have one more or? One more. One more right there. Let's go for it.
Apologies if I missed it. What's the next step once you've identified these clones, and what do you expect to be like the remediation and time frame around that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So most notably, kind of the issue that clones pose is an issue of provenance, where it's unclear where the exact piece of source code came from. And so what our tooling does is it provides an estimate of, we think that this package code came from this other package, and then we can use an NPM audit on the original package in order to see if there might be any vulnerabilities that are missing. But this process could be automated further by adopting this kind of tooling into existing frameworks or the NPM ecosystem. And so we see, you know, working to adopt tooling like this would be an excellent step. Great question.
One more.
One more. Woo!
Sam online asks, it seems like NPM is highly targeted. What is in the way of doing more analysis of packages before they are considered safe and allowed to be downloaded?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, there have been a lot of research and efforts within various like either app or ecosystems to do some kind of vetting on like apps or code before it enters a marketplace. For example, like the Google Play Store, they have some automated protections they run on apps. I think that a very similar system could work for NPM packages. We would just need to see industry want to adopt features like this, where we run kind of automated analysis on packages before publication. But it's something that I'm very interested in, and I think that's a wonderful idea. So thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you very much.
That was amazing. We appreciate new perspectives and ideas. That's what I love about the foundation. Yeah, please give her applause.